Here we see the role being performed by an elite player. Note the position of the head, hands and feet. Now let's look at each of the key teaching points for the role of the right shoulder. Run directly towards the opponent. Plant the right foot forward towards the opponent's left shoulder while transferring the ball to the left side. Engage the opponent in a side-to-side charge. Using their shoulder as a hinge, roll off by swinging the left leg around and pivoting on the right foot. Plant the left foot on the ground and transfer the ball back to the outside of the body, now on the right side. Bring the right leg around and accelerate away. Use a low bounce, clearing the opponent. This is a basic drill to practice the roll-off. Divide the players into pairs. Ensure each pair has adequate space to perform the technique. One player in each pair performs the roll technique of their partner without a ball. The technique should be performed at a walking pace initially, allowing the players to focus on planting the correct foot and rolling in the correct direction. The players should practice the technique off both sides. After a set number of attempts, reverse the rolls. As the players become more competent, the pace should be increased gradually. As the players develop, introduce a ball. The players should be encouraged to toe tap as they approach their partner, keeping the ball to the outside of the body during the tackle and bouncing the ball as they move away. The pace of the drill should be reduced to allow the players to become comfortable performing the technique with the ball, before gradually building it back up again. This is a basic drill to practice the roll technique. Mark out a grid approximately 8 meters square using cones. Position one player at each cone. Each player in turn moves around the grid, engaging shoulder to shoulder with the other players to perform the roll technique. The stationary players should face away from the grid. Change the direction of movement after each player has had a turn. When moving anti-clockwise, the moving player should roll off the left shoulder and vice versa. This is an intermediate drill to practice the roll technique. Mark out a grid approximately 10 meters square using cones. Place markers of 2 colours throughout the grid evenly spaced out. 2 players are positioned at each cone. One of each pair enters the grid simultaneously to perform a roll at each of the markers. The players roll off the right foot at markers of one colour and off the left foot at markers of the other colour. Switch the players after a set time. To progress the drill, require the players to carry a ball. This is an intermediate drill to practice the roll technique. Mark out a zigzag formation using 5 cones, each approximately 8 meters apart. One player, holding a tackle bag, is positioned at each of the 3 middle cones. These players must hold the tackle bag correctly, using a sturdy grip, keeping it high for protection and with one foot forward to brace themselves. The remaining players line up at one end of the formation. Each player in turn jogs through the formation, practicing the roll with the right and left shoulder at each alternate tackle bag. Initially, the players may not be required to play the ball, but as they become more comfortable with the drill, they should play the ball, particularly focusing on using the bounce as they move away from the tackle. This is a gameplay drill to develop the roll technique. The attacking players line up approximately 20 to 25 meters from goal. A defending player is positioned in a grid midway between the attacking players and the goal. Each player in turn solos forward to engage the defending player before rolling to one side and attempting to score. The players should toe tap as they approach the defenders and use the outer hand to bounce the ball as they roll away towards goal. To increase the difficulty of the drill, allow the defensive player to tackle for the ball. This gameplay drill to develop the roll technique requires the players to work together. Attacking players line up in threes, approximately 20 to 25 meters from goal. A defending player is positioned in a defensive zone midway between the attacking players and the goal. The attacking players move forward together, with the central player in possession of the ball. Having rolled off the defensive player, the central attacking player lays off the ball to the outside player at that side, using the hand pass technique. Focus on transferring the ball to keep it in the outside arm throughout the roll. The player should use the right hand when passing to the right, and the left hand when passing to the left. To increase the difficulty of the drill, allow the defensive player to tackle for the ball. This is a gameplay drill to develop the roll technique. Mark out a grid approximately 10 to 15 meters square as shown. Mark out a goal area 10 meters from the grid. Divide the players into attackers and defenders with one goalkeeper. Each defender enters the grid in turn to be approached by an attacker who must perform the roll before moving away and shooting on goal. The defender remains stationary, providing token opposition initially, but may continue to tackle the player to increase the difficulty of the drill. Rotate the players after a set number of goals. Using a bounce as opposed to a toe tap going into the tackle is a common error when learning the roll technique. This may result in the player fouling the ball coming out of the tackle, as they must toe tap the ball and may not have sufficient time or space. To correct this error, ensure the player toe taps the ball when in space approaching the opponent. The player should only use 4 steps in which to perform the technique. Planting the wrong foot and leading off the wrong shoulder is a common error when performing the roll technique. To correct this error, ensure the player plants the opposite foot to that of the opponent, as in a side-to-side charge. Not protecting the ball during the tackle is a common error when performing the roll-off, and may result in the opponent knocking the ball away. To correct this error, ensure the player continues to transfer the ball to the outside of the body throughout the tackle.